though. I'm going to give a brand.
Oh, no, I'm not giving mine away. No way.
That's a brand spanking new laminated. Hey, guys, it's Ron and John and Ron, Cleaning Talk, or Cleaning Garage, Cleaning Talk Live, guys. We got a special guest tonight, Robert Hinderliter. You know, we didn't have a real topic to talk about, but I guess John gave Robert some questions that he told him he'll be answering. So I guess, John, you're going to be heading out with the interview. But I did want to ask Robert some questions, and Robert's in the green room right now, so maybe he won't be baffled about this. But I wanted to ask Robert from technology, from the time he got involved in the industry in 1972 until I got involved in the industry in 1984. I want to talk about, like, we didn't have surface cleaners. We didn't have heat had just met pressure at that time. I kind of want to ask Robert some questions that I want to see how they resolved those issues before, and I kind of tell everybody how we did it and how we got around things with not having those two things, you know, meeting each other at the same time. You know, John, what's funny is I'm looking at the link. Oh yeah, it did come live, so we're good. We're good to go. So that link's live now on YouTube, and we're right here. So how are things going since the Phoenix event, John?
Oh, things are going great. It's been crazy here. We are super busy. It's unbelievable. I have a great web person who's once again going to give away a discount on my Washmart University class. Things are going great. And I don't know, some of you guys might know, Ron does know, I'm going to be in Phoenix again next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to pick up some equipment I purchased at the Phoenix show. I purchased from a private seller. And me and Ron are going to do a Tuesdays with Torn Benny or John and Ron show, or Ron and John, whatever. I'm going to try to get that going. But things are going great. We are aware of the COVID-19 going on. We are taking all the proper precautions. And you just got to be careful. And that's we've been careful all the way through. And I can't, 2020 has been a horrible year as far as, all the stuff going on. But we're just bulldozing right through it, and everything is going good. And Ron's showing a mask. I got a whole bunch. Yep. You always got to have your mask ready. I mean, we got ours. I wear them when I have to wear them. At some of the jobs we do some hospital accounts. They request we do wear them. We do some college accounts. So, we just follow the rules. That's all.
We learned something in Phoenix. When we take a group picture in Houston, everyone will be wearing a mask.
Well,
we won't even know who was there.
You know what's crazy about that? I had some family members telling me that. Why didn't you tell them to wear a mask? And I'm like, look, I'm a retired police officer. I'm not into telling anyone to do anything. I wore it because I was supposed to wear it. And, if they wear it, they wear it. I mean, you can't force people to do stuff. But when I was that close to everybody, I wore it.
You can force people to do stuff. You've been a police officer all your life. You've been forcing people to do shit they don't want to do all the time.
Yeah, those days for me are long gone,
I got to get Robert to wear one of these.
Well, let me show you what I'm bringing there. Let me see.
I still don't know how to wear these gaiters, man. They're difficult for me to get on. I'm sure glad I didn't have to wear any here that was in the cold. I'll tell you what, this is good. This is nice for you if you are in the cold, though. It really is.
Yeah, that's good for the cold, but these are even better. I don't want to open this up because it's sealed, but I'm going to bring these masks. Once again, I expect to have 40-plus students in my class, so everyone's going to get one of these. All this stuff here is made by Christy and Darren White's company, Sub Effects.
We don't want to trigger Robert. We do not.
Yeah, I know. We're going to get Robert all crazy. Coming on 1 second, but I am going to give out masks to everybody in the class once again, because I'm a protocol rule guy. If they say you got to wear it, you wear it. If in a restaurant here, you can take it off once you sit down. I take it off. You just follow the rules, and you do fine in life. That's really what it comes down to.
John, my 8-year-old made this for me for the show. Can you believe that?
Oh, you know what? You don't have to tell you that. Ron always gives it his all, and then some.
Isn't that crazy, man?
That is, yeah, that's nice.
He's 8, man. It's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. So, well, you got a lineup for, obviously, I don't got much to do here tonight. I guess I just get to give away stuff. So should I give this away? You know what we'll do? Here's what we'll do. We'll do this. We'll do this at the end. I'll figure out who shared it, and I'll draw somebody for the laminated. They'll also get a closer hat with the book. You know what? The heck with it. We're gonna go ahead and throw in a Pressure Washing Institute shirt. They're gonna get a shirt too.
Nice.
So one winner tonight. Whoever shares tonight, all you gotta do is share this thing somewhere.
Right.
Share it somewhere. You're gonna get a closer. You're gonna get a closer hat. You're gonna get a winner shirt, and you're gonna wind up getting the F9 cookbook valued at $150. And I don't even know if they're gonna make these anymore because you guys heard, right? The F9 basically app now is basically free, right? I mean, it's free.
You know what, dog? You know what? I'm an old school guy, and I always have the F9. We keep this on the desk. I love the hard copy stuff. And my guys,
yeah, but I'm saying, if you don't get one tonight, I mean, this is it. These could be the last of them right here. Look, who knows?
How many can you hang with one page? Look at this thing. This thing's been thrown around. You know, sometimes I get a little nuts. I might throw it, but
hey, man,
it's really, really solid.
Craig said that he put his in the pool, so I put mine in the pool just to test it.
Oh, nothing.
No, it worked.
I never seen laminated so thick. It's unbelievable.
I put it in the pool, man, and it made it.
I'm going to give away 2 hats tonight, too.
I only let it stay in there until the back washing was done. Once the back washing was done, took about 8 minutes. I pulled it out, tried it off. It worked out pretty good.
Solid.
Hey guys, you know, we're going to introduce here tonight. This is a friend of mine and John's. Robert. Let me give you history. I'm gonna give the history here. Let's see when Robert comes on. Let's see if I got the history right. He started a company called Roscoe, which was for a little while Delco of Fort Worth, and the Delco of Fort Worth turned back into Roscoe, and then from Roscoe they went to what's known now today as PowerWash.com. I don't know what the time periods were, but I think I'm pretty accurate on how that unfolded. So I still think, I mean, basically they still sell. What's the branding on Robert's units or Michael's units? What are they called?
Oh, Robert knows.
Well, let's bring him in and ask him. Let's do it. Here he is. Come
ask the man. Robert. He knows.
Bring it in on in.
Okay.
There he is.
What was your question again?
The branding on the equipment nowadays, what is it? Oh, it's deluxe. That's right. Deluxe.
Right.
That's right. Deluxe equipment. That's right. Okay. Was I pretty accurate on the history, Robert?
Fair.
Well,
let Robert tell us. We get it for the man himself.
Well, I started out as Mobile Enterprises, and I built equipment under that. And did pressure washing under it. So I was doing both. I was working 7 days a week. Went about 9 months without a day off. My wife said I had to get rid of something. So I eventually got rid of the power wash side and stayed into the manufacturing. She said she requested that. So I'd be home on weekends instead of being gone so long. So you don't even know what day of the week it is anymore. And then I had a competitor I'd been talking to that made equipment, and that was R.A. Howe Sales Company. And I ended up buying that and transferred all the manufacturing into Roscoe. And then I took on a trade name at Delco Cleaning Systems of Fort Worth. And then eventually when Mike took over, he changed it to PowerWash.com. I advised him that I thought it'd be a good deal to use a domain as your company name, so it'd be easier for people to know who you were and everything. And he's probably triple the size of the business, or 4 times bigger than it was when I had it.
Interesting. That's good. Good to know. It's good to know I missed out, I guess, the original history. When did Larry join the team? What year was it?
When did Larry start with me?
When did Larry join the team?
About 1980.
Wow.
1980.
Yeah.
Great guy, Larry.
He's with me about half the time.
So you started.
I invited him down to the show too. I haven't gotten a response from him yet, but hopefully let everybody know here, John. Robert's coming down to the Washburn University event.
We're going to talk about that.
11th. I don't know if you're going to be there all 3 days, Robert, but I know you're going to be there on the 11th.
Yeah, it'll depend on the pandemic at that time.
Of course.
if it's bad, if I think it's too much risk, I'll just come in and make my presentation and then leave. But in England, people that are 80 years old get their shots first, or one of the first bunches. So,
By the way, Robert, happy birthday. His birthday is December 10th, right?
Yes,
Yeah, he turns 80 years old, so he should be first in line to get those shots.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Happy birthday, Robert.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 80 years young. We all should be lucky one day.
And you've been retired for almost 10 years, Robert.
Yeah, I retired in 2010.
10 years.
Mike purchased the company March 1st of 2010.
Robert, did you ever really retire, though? You know, it's always on your mind. You're always pushing forward.
No. When you retire, you get lots of projects to do. And
Right.
I'm just about, after 10 years, I about caught most of them up. But I've been in major construction projects around the house since that time.
Well, you know what? You got 20 more years in this industry before you go anywhere. So
That's right.
that's right. That's right. Rob will be 100 years old. He's still going to be teaching somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us
still
about your
teach
class,
regularly.
Robert, that you want to talk about at the Washmart University.
Say again.
Tell us a little bit about your class that you want to talk about.
I'm going to give you background of how the regulations come into where they are now.
Okay.
So if you understand how we got there, it makes it a lot easier to comply if you know what's coming down the road and what was behind them. Well, I lived through all that.
Right.
And I was probably the largest influencer in that, not because I did it purposely, but I could see that if I didn't get politically active, that I was going to be put out of business. And the city of Fort Worth called up with me and told me they had a public comment period coming up that would eventually shut my business down. And I said, well, I don't have enough money to sue them. I said, what do public people respond to, or public employees? I said, it's the electorate, public pressure, and that takes people to do that. You got to get a group together. Well, I had one of the only newspapers going at that time. This was a precursor to Cleaner Times, where I published out 2 articles, and that helped expand my base to sell equipment to.
The Watts Blaster, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I used to get that.
Delco Watts Blaster.
Yep. I love that paper.
At the height, I send up $20,000 to $25,000 a month. And now Michael's primarily changed that back to where everything's online with today's technology. That wasn't true back then. We didn't have the internet. I mean, when I started, we didn't even have computers or cell phones. I went through all that transition in my lifetime. So I'll go through that. So the regulations, they seem arbitrary, but they're not if you understand how we got there. And since I worked with the city of Fort Worth, we developed the first BMPs for the industry that were become a regulation and was adopted on January the 2nd. What was it? 1996. Yeah.
That's when I started.
And yeah. And then the city of Fort Worth got that posted on the EPA's website as a model ordinance. And from there, I was asked to speak about it on multiple occasions. And I trained a lot of regulators, city, state, and local, over 2,000. I attended several major events, different regions. Regulators would come together and I would talk to them, and I would train individual contractors. I tell them, when you go in to talk to somebody, if they hadn't done anything yet, just tell them you want a 5 or 10 minute meeting. And they'll do that. And then if you go in and you got something important to say, that'll turn into a 2 or 3 hour meeting. And I've done that successfully with a lot of other people. So it used to be most of the regulations would reference as PWNA as being the source of a lot of that information. Well, in fact, that was just me, so I got that. And I noticed that some of them have dropped that reference now, but because of my involvement with the EPA and giving talks at different associations of regulators, those was kind of the baseline for what everybody else produced. Or what they adopted. And last year I did another major survey on what was going on. When they first started, they was going out and checking all the storm drains, and they'd have to go out and look for the pollution in the storm drains. And when they first started that, they were surprised to find out it was detergents was a major component. And in Fort Worth, they were over 60%. And when I started working with the city of Fort Worth, let me back up. I missed one important point. I asked them if I would sponsor a public comment period, would they shove it back? And that cost me $5,000 at the time. This is 1995 money. So they called back and said, yes, they would. That was a real contentious 2-hour meeting. Some of the people got mad and swore, and some regulators wouldn't admit that they were regulators for different cities. I mean, it almost turned into a physical confrontation. But I managed to keep that down, and I had a couple of 3 people walk out of the room, but I managed to keep the thing just yelling and screaming at each other. But the major thing that happened was at the end of that conference, or that public comment period, the city of Fort Worth said they would throw out their present BMPs and start over based on what they'd learned there, which everybody was happy with that. And then the city of Fort Worth called me and wanted to know if I'd make the first draft. So the first draft was written by me, and it was edited by the city attorney at the city of Fort Worth. And after we got through with it, it was tweaked by the environmental and by the sewer, the POTW people, public owned treatment works people, sewer plants. They're representatives, and then that resulted into the ordinance, which was approved in December of 1995. It went into effect on January the 2nd of 1995, because the first was a holiday, obviously, so it didn't go into effect then. And then one of the things I pushed real heavy was that if the regulations were reasonable, logical, and rational, they would have a high level of compliance. And if you didn't do that, you'd have a high level of non-compliance and force the industry to go to nights and weekends. So Fort Worth bought it. Houston wouldn't buy it. San Antonio bought it. I went down there and trained their regulators in one seminar. They paid me to do that, and then they brought me back down to teach how the people on the Riverwalk could be in compliance. So a lot of that stuff that I talked is still in force today. Of course, they've made tweaks along the way based on what the history's been. So the expense to the municipalities of going out and checking all these storm drains got to be pretty high, and the municipalities were complaining about it. And after that got started, they come in what they call daily municipal load, TMDLs, where they would measure all the constituents. So at first, go back to Houston and Fort Worth, I said voluntary compliance. We'll make a long story short. Voluntary compliance come down to get about a 0 detergents in a storm rain in 3 years. And Houston proved that if you do it with heavy enforcement and fines in the $10,000 range,
Wow.
that they would come down to zero detergents in a storm drain in less than a year. So the only difference between Houston spending all that money on 6 regulators, enforcers, I should say, going out and finding everybody, and Fort Worth not having a 0 budget with no effort in that area, was going from 3 years to less than 1 year in compliance. So compliance will happen if you have heavy enforcement, but you get pushback from the industry. So anyway, that's sort of one thing there. And then because of the cities were complaining about the cost of going out and checking the detergents and stuff in the storm drain, and the Fort Worth developed about procedures for doing that. They took flat-headed minnows and put them in basically a Coke bottle and would go out and float it into the stream. And then they'd come back 2 or 3 days later and check it. If they had a lot of dead minnows, well, then they'd have to do further testing. So the city of Fort Worth had an old incubator or hatchery for not fish, but for flathead minnows to put all over the state. On account of that cost and everything, they finally convinced the EPA to go to TMDLs, daily municipal daily load. And like I was just talking to the the state of Kansas within the last year, in the spring of this year, actually, what the EPA, federal EPA now is accepting is for them to, they'll go in and specify for each city or jurisdiction the river or water, or the waste stream coming into the city, and then they have to go out of the city and test it again to see how much pollution they dumped into the storm drain or the rivers or lakes.
Right.
And then if it gets high, well, then they got to do, if it's out of compliance. Now, the other thing I went through with Fort Worth was the fact that the pollution they were getting from the contract cleaners didn't have anything to do with the chemicals they were putting in there. It was just the silt and sludge and the hydrocarbons. So they wanted to get that back down. So I told them about a 20 meg screen or 200 microns or something like that. And they said, they said, what can the industry do? So that's where that figure comes from, just off the top of my head. And I said, an oil absorbent boom will take rid of the sheen on top of the water. So they accepted that. So that's why that got set into a lot of deals. And then since the contract cleaner is insignificant and these municipalities and states are trending over the TMDL now versus going out in every little waste stream within the city, the pollution from contract cleaners is insignificant because it gets mixed with all the other waste.
Robert, let me interrupt just for 1 second.
Sure.
So basically, you have a great history, but to jump into, because we only have so much time on this program tonight, me and Ron and yourself. We try to keep it under an hour because most people we deal with, their attention spans are shot with like three to 5 minutes.
Hey, John.
But I want to ask Robert something. Wait, let me ask Robert something. But basically, what Robert's going to do in the Washmont University on February 11th, he's going to talk about Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, how you can be compliant in this area for a very minimal cost. Is that correct, Robert?
Yes. One of my objectives that I worked on real hard towards the end of my career was how to keep everybody in compliance without spending a lot of money. And I finally figured out that most of the people calling back that had put in recycling or remediation equipment found out it was mostly an image thing.
Right.
So you got to have a piece of equipment that looked real good. Well, I developed one, and John Torabini bought one of my first ones.
The
That worked
multi-tech,
pretty good.
the multi-tech system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got with the manufacturing. Well, they actually approached me, and they'd attended some of my seminars that I'd given at PWNA meetings, and they worked with me, and we developed that into a smaller unit that met all my criteria.
Right.
And it's about $3.99, and with putting oil absorbent booms and stuff in it, and filters in it, screens that you wouldn't wash out, or just throw them out there and use your pressure washer on them. Well, you can come in with a compliance for probably 60% of the industry for less than $1,000.
That's going to be big, Ron. He's going to talk about that in his class. And I did buy one of Robert's first systems, the multi-tech. We use those mesh bags. But we're going to talk about a lot of that in Washmart. Ron, you want to give anything away? Or you want me to do a couple hats first?
No, I want to ask Robert some questions.
Okay, yes.
There you go. You're on the bucket.
You know what, Robert? I'm gonna speak like a contractor. You're
okay. Go for it.
You're the professor. You're the engineer. Pilot. You're that guy. So you've got all the technical stuff. I mean, the bottom line is, do you remember when they wanted to use reclaim on house washing in Mecklenburg County?
Yes. Yes.
I think we got to break this down that guys don't understand that you get the calls, you got the calls, and you still probably get the calls. I mean, because you're right. There's not a lot of people that are doing this type of work. Okay. But I don't think that these guys understand they want to try to say that we're, adding fear to this mix. We're not adding fear to this mix, but what all too often happens is when somebody gets shut down, they call me, they call you, they want to know, what do we do? How come we're being shut down? We've had cease and desist orders in jurisdictions. Guys don't believe this. You talked about enforcement in Houston. These were guys with guns, and they would cite you, and you were done. You were done pressure washing. You would not be able to pressure wash in until you went to court. You went to major offender school. You went through that, and then possibly you would be allowed to return back to your trade or not return back to your trade. And I don't think guys understand this.
What's your question?
But I want people to understand what you did for 40 years. We kept contractors working, right?
Right. And one thing I taught in my classes for the regulators was that house washing, you're washing somebody's castle, and it's only done occasionally. It's not done weekly. So there should be minimum enforcement in there. And to my knowledge, almost all jurisdictions do not enforce house washing because it's just an occasional thing, right. Normally annual or semi-annual, or every other year, not very often. So there's really no problem, and you can use bioremediation and don't let any water off property.
That's the key.
Now then, if you have a remediation unit like I got designing in production, you'll have a good image, and image is important as doing the right thing.
Right.
If you look like you're doing it, everybody's gonna brag on you. And one reason it works so well is because most of the enforcement people really don't know what to be looking for. So if they see a professional looking unit out there, they'll accept it.
Right.
Well, I think that the one thing is, as you said this, Robert, is they call them BMPs because they're best management practices, not EMPs. They're not exact management practices. So, if you're giving it the old 1-2 try and you're earnestly and honestly, trying to practice legitimately as far as being an environmental steward, you're 9 times out of 10, even if you get the citation, if you can prove that you were doing the things you got, you're not going to wind up paying the fine or the citation.
And normally, if you look like you're trying, what they'll do if they don't think you're up to deal, that they will tell you to increase whatever level that you're doing.
Right.
In other words, they won't give you a ticket, but they might give you it won't be a fine. It'll just be a ticket that don't have any deal to it, that you violated and you need to increase things. I had one contractor that grew from an individual to several people, and they knew he was trying real hard. And the regulator called up and told me that, sir, you know what to do, but your people aren't following it. And if they don't quit running stuff down in the storm drain, I'm going to have to issue a $10,000 fine. Well, in this particular case, he decided it was easier to hire a quality control guy that would go around and check all of his crews rather than get that $10,000 fine. So that becomes very important to establish that with the regulating authorities. Right. And I recommend you print your own BMPs up, so if they come up, you say, these are the BMPs I'm following.
Ron, I want to just talk about what Robert just said, though. The real key with this stuff is not to let the wash water go off premises where you're cleaning. And
yes.
A lot of, this doesn't happen often, but when they're cleaning the homeowner's house and the driveway, you got to watch that it doesn't run out to the street into the storm drain. A bigger thing is, in my world, the parking garage cleaning is the last thing you want to do is run down a ramp and all that sludge and dirty water running out in the street down the road. You're going to get hammered on that. And, also in my world, there's also companies that will pick up your wash water, but there's ways to work around that. Like Robert's saying, using oil socks, you're going to use the mesh bags that multi-tech system Robert sells. There's ways around that, but you really got to keep it in the place you're cleaning at. And for all your residential washers, because we have thousands of accounts ourselves here, you got to keep your wash water on that premises. And once it goes off there, you're going to run into all kinds of issues if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, yeah, you failed to mention that doesn't come under the authority of the regulators until it breaks the property line.
Right.
Once it breaks the property line,
they
now
have a field deck.
What's the property line?
Right.
It can be air contamination. It can be surface water contamination. It can be groundwater contamination. I had to deal with all three of those areas.
Well, you see, Robert knew the answer to that. You see that, Rob? He knew right away. I forgot to mention one thing, but that's true. Becomes their jurisdiction. AHJ's authorities having jurisdiction. They'll go on a road and they can hammer you.
Well, let me
I've had that situation happen.
Question: when does a local, not a state, environmental or enforcement person, when do they deem jurisdiction on private property? I'm just curious. I want to see if Robert knows the answer to this question.
There's only a couple places that do it that I'm aware of. There's 2 municipalities that claim they have that right. But as a general rule, all across the United States, they do not.
You are right, sir. That was a bit. And let's see if these contractors out there are listening to that and understand that. And here's why they think they do, Robert, because they're working a multi-task force with either the federal government or the state agency. And that's why they believe that they have jurisdiction. John, this is right up your alley. You should know these things.
let me expand that a little bit more.
Sure.
I've been called in on situations like that, and I got back and I said, really, you don't have jurisdiction to give him a ticket for what he did on his own private property. And they finally said, yeah, we realize that's true, but if you'll make sure that he does what we want him to do, we'll get rid of the ticket. So I negotiated between the municipality and the contractor. He said he didn't mind doing those things, but if you are familiar with the regulations, there's only a couple municipalities that try to come in between there that's pass those ordinances within the city. You can probably get them to back down, especially if you call in some expert that can talk to them and say, hey, you don't have jurisdiction here. And they really can't dispute that.
Robert, I give them, there was regions 9 or 10 had about jurisdiction, and we used to print that out. It's actually on Pressure Washing Institute. We used to print that out, and we would tell contractors if they were approached by regulators just to give them that. And 9 times out of 10, now 99 times out of 1,000, as soon as they got that piece of paper, they went over their car, they radioed their supervisor, and they drove off the property.
Right.
I mean, that's usually
Ron, you got to have education. You have to know what you're talking about. But people should realize what happens in California.
Hey, John, you got your phone on?
No, me?
Phone on? Yeah, we're getting some feedback. Somebody's phone's on.
My phone is on. Let me just shut it off.
There you go, John.
You know what? Oh, wait a minute. Well, you know what? So every area is different. Region 9 won't be the same as Region 6.
That's right.
So you have to know what your area. I remember when I was at Robert's house a few years back, we went in to see the EPA. I think they were closed, but you got to go to your own area to see what they are looking for. Like California to me should be cut off the face of America, sent out. But outside of that, it's much looser restrictions, but it all comes down to the same thing. If you're going to poison those storm drains, you're going to get hammered. And I teach about that in my class, Robert, how to work yourself around that, doing proper procedures. And Robert's going to teach at the Washmont University. Like I'm going to Arizona to buy, I already bought very expensive machinery out there because I'm dealing with different things. But Robert can teach you guys how to be compliant. And the most important thing is if they see you putting the effort in, that really counts. If they see suds and everything going right down the storm drain, you're going to get hammered. So there's ways around that in Robert's class. Robert, your class is what, about an hour long?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I highly advise everyone to take that. I mean, this man has gone through everything. And, Robert's only got 20 more years left in the industry. So to jump on it, take advantage of it.
I'm not going to ask you, Robert, but John keeps talking about soaps. And here's the funniest thing. You may think about what the question I'll ask you, because I'm not going to do any improv too on this question, but maybe next time we have you come on closer to the date. Soaps and detergents and visual things for green thumbers to see and people to call regulators up and saying, hey, I think there's some pollution existing is really a bad thing. And that's why I like detergents on flat surfaces that do not have foam, do not have suds, but don't have the same kind of cleaning power, because I don't want to bring that attention when I'm at a gas station and you're very public.
Ryan, you read my mind.
People are seeing that stuff. Well, that's not the product. He knows what product I'm talking about. But maybe next time you'll have an opinion on that, and I'll get what you think of those products. Because here's what I want to say. Probably, Robert, since you've been retired, we've had more house washers shut down than anybody, okay?
Really?
Absolutely. House washers have been absolutely cease and desist orders in Michigan. I just put up that one right there. Thanks for the help in Michigan. These guys got cease and desist orders in Michigan. There's been guys in Louisiana that have been shut down. We couldn't get those guys back working because they were afraid to utilize the I don't want to say semantics, but the law. And I'm gonna help some of these guys out right now. 12.5% sodium hyperchloride is a federally regulated product. Doesn't matter what state you're in. It's federally regulated, okay? And if the agriculture in your state has a license to spray any federally regulated chemicals, that includes sodium hyperchloride at 12.5%. Whether you're mixing it at 12.5%, whether you're cutting it down to 1%, you know as well as I do, Robert, they don't care. They want the MSDS or the label. And that's all they go by. If you're spraying it at 1%, you're still going to get cited or shut down. Guys just don't understand that Home Depot sells 10% for a reason, and because it's legal to sell it to someone to use in a situation where they're going to either charge a customer, because you know the trickiness in spray application licenses. You and I can go down and buy, well, we can't buy diazinon anymore at the pest control store, but we used to be able to go buy diazinon as a homeowner, and we could spray it all over our houses and be as dangerous as we wanted to and cause as much three-limb babies and cancer and all this other stuff. We didn't need a license. But if you were going to charge somebody to do it, you needed a license to spray it, right? But a homeowner, you can pretty much do anything. As we know, homeowners can wash cars in driveways, but an auto detailer cannot wash a car in a driveway.
You know what, Ron? I am licensed where I am here. I get in the back in the warehouse, I got 15% sodium hypochlorite, 15%. I needed a license to get that.
I know you did.
I got a couple of my local contractors. I told them we had to get the home improvement license because they will not sell it to anybody without a license. You got to have that license. So I have that license. So guys, they laugh at me like, John, you guys X-jet a roof? We can X-jet it because I'm getting 15%. The X-jet cuts it down 2-to-1. So they're putting up 5%, which is strong as straight bleach from a store on a roof. But here I'm licensed for that.
You're telling way too many secrets, John.
Well, that's okay. Listen, all my local contractors here, all the guys here love me. You know, Justin Mueller, Rob Proza. I have no problems. I lost $50,000 bids against these guys, but I'm like, you know what? I want you. This is why I'm okay teaching my class. And Meg Josetti told me years ago, John, teach your class. I want to win all the time, but I want to beat you at your best. It really is. If you can outdo me and beat me on a bid, you know, God bless you, because you learned and you did the right thing. So I am all about education. And I learned that from Robert years ago. Robert was giving out secrets years ago. And I was going on a Delco bulletin board, Robert, BBS 1, whatever it was. DCS 1. I learned so much from there, from Chris Appleroof, whatever, and all these guys, and Robert and Larry. They were willing to give up what they know, because you know what? In the end here, when the education goes up, the prices go up with it. So yes. I'm okay with that. If you're going to compete against uneducated guys, go down.
I wanted you to know that, Robert, because you've been out of the game a little bit, and we used to, you know, between the late 80s, or not late 80s, probably mid 90s to the mid 2000s. It was a big commercial problem, and we had, you know, depending on what, you know, who was in control, whether in politics, you know, it's going to tighten up, and these guys don't realize this. We're about ready to go into this other administration, and things are going to tighten up again. I mean, they're going to wind up with more regulation. They're going to wind up with more enforcement. And I don't think people, I mean, I think some people understand this, but I don't think.
Don't get Robert started.
The normal contract cleaner doesn't understand what he's up against, as far as no one ever believes that there were peace officers, law enforcement shutting down pressure washers in a city. No one believes that there was a moratorium in Gwinnett County for, I don't know what the time period was, but you remember it, Robert. They shut all washing down. You could not wash in Gwinnett County, Georgia. They did it in a city. They did it in a county in Michigan. They've done it in Florida under drought conditions. And then they did it under spraying application conditions, because they were confused at what was the right method and what was the wrong methods. And we've had this, and you know, I'm surprised you didn't start off with this, Robert. This is the reason and the need that we needed a strong association, or associations. You know, that's
what PWNA was started for.
Yeah, that's what we got involved with the UMCC after you know, basically handed it over to Carlos. I mean, the only reason.
Who's the one who founded both those organizations? Who is that?
Founded which?
Robert.
Yeah, yeah.
Both of them.
I founded most of them, and me and Michael, on a trip from Arkansas back home, developed a plan for UAMCC.
Yep. and it's all good. And Ron and I agree that these organizations, they should work together, and we're all
Yes.
together. So they should.
The industry's stronger if it works together.
Oh yeah, and Robert, look, I'm here with Ron now because Robert told me on my Be Live 6 months ago, like the industry is so divided, and they really are. And then it's just the way things fell into place with me and Ron with that tech company and everything else. Me and Ron are like, we used to fight like cats and dogs, and we're like, you know what? I know what his strengths are. He knows what my strengths are. We always agreed everybody should work together. So we're gonna.
Hey, John, I got 12 minutes.
Okay.
I got to figure out who's going to win this thing. Why don't you go ahead and ask Robert those questions, and I'm going to go ahead and figure out who's going to win this cookbook.
Well, I wanted to ask Robert, but I know the answers to this. What year was it, Robert, you first did contracting before you started your company? Before you started?
1972.
So we're going back, 48 years ago. 48
Yeah.
years ago. So you were initially a contractor first.
Yes.
Okay.
And within about 9 months, I was building equipment for other people because I got a master's in engineering.
Now, what year did you start the PWNA?
Oh, gosh, what was it?
I know the year. Want me to say it?
Yeah, say it.
1992.
Okay, 1992.
And then you started the UAMCC, I think it was 2005.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yep. Oh, you know what? And Ron, let me just toot my own horn here for 1 second. Ron, these awards I got here, these were the Robert Hinderliter Awards. They should put listen, this is the PWNA.
Right.
I hope they one day give the awards back in your name because the other one's still in Joe Walters, but the real look, Joe Walters, I'm going to see him. I have a house in Florida. I went to home. It's literally 2 miles from his house, him and Jan. So when I get down there, we'll do dinner. We do dinner together, us guys. And the PWNA honors, the two biggest awards were the Contractor of the Year was Robert Hinderliter's award, and Joe Walters was the Vendor of the Year. And Robert could have won. Robert, you could have won either way. Robert Hinderliter could have been the Vendor of the Year or the Contractor. Joe Walters was always a vendor. I think he might have power washed at one time too. I can't remember what he told me. I think he might have. Did Joe Walters ever power wash, Robert?
No.
All right, then he was a vendor from the word go.
Yes.
But I'm very honored to get these awards, and a guy like myself, Robert, I never forget what you did to the industry. I always consider you like do you remember David Olson?
Yes.
The only two mentors I ever had in the industry were you and him. The two people I tell people, Robert Hinderliter, and I never let people forget David Olson. He was a PWNA treasurer in the beginning, maybe
Right.
1995, 94. And when I became the PWNA treasurer in 2005 or 6, I think it was the end of 2005, I used to contact him all the time. And he would tell me, watch out for this, do this, pay more attention to this. So you two were my mentors. And I miss David. David was a great guy. I got a lot of knowledge from him, but I consider myself lucky because I learned from the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that. Hey, Ron, let me give away a couple hats here. Ron?
Do it up. I'll go ahead and name who they are. Go ahead. I'm going to give them away.
2 hat giveaways here. I'm going to make this easy. What year did Robert go into the contracting business, for one? And what year did Robert start the PWNA? Or the UAMCC? Pick either or. Those are easy.
I say I'm right, but I'm going to see if I win. I'm going to see if I can win. I'm going to see if I can win the hat.
You? Enough hats. Look at Rod. Rod's trying to win a prize. He knows the answer to.
No, I don't. I thought it was 2006. You said 2005, but I think it was 2006 the UMCC was invented.
I'm going to go with 2004. Robert, what is Oh, we got Mike Woolley. First guy I see is Mike Woolley. Is that right?
I mean, that's going to cost you $40 to send that hat to him in Canada.
I know. I'm sending Canada stuff. They're sending me $40. It costs me to send stuff. 1972 is Mike Woolley. Is he the first one you see?
He is.
Mike, PM me your address, and Jeff Henry, 1992, the PWNA. You see that, Ron? Jeff Henry?
I think Darren won that one, but I don't think he wants it. I think you'll give it to Jeff.
I'll give Darren a hat. I'm going to see Darren. Darren, I'll give you a hat. Let me give it to Jeff. Jeff Henry, PM me your address. I'm going to give out 2 of these hats. And these ain't the cheap hats either, people. I never go cheap or nothing. Right, Ron?
So let's see. The winner was Mike Woolley. He was the first winner.
Oh, he's got hats.
And then Jeff Henry was the second winner.
How about who?
Jeff Henry.
No, Jeff Henry's already got.
You said Jeff Henry was the second winner. Mike won it.
Mike Woolley's going to pass. So
Mike Woolley's passing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but he said he got plenty of hats. I probably sent them. I sent hats all over the place. I spent $2,000 on hats.
Then your next 1972 guy would have been Jannard Johnson right here.
Jannard Johnson, PM me. You're going to get a hat your way.
Right there.
Please don't live in Europe or Canada. I'm getting killed by you guys.
Hey, Robert, we want to thank you for coming out tonight. John and I got to wrap this show up. I got to give this cookbook away. Appreciate you coming out, Robert.
Sure. Anytime. I enjoy it.
You can stay in the green room and watch the show if you want, Robert.
Ron, just keep him on for one more second. Guys, people, when this man's going to be somewhere, go there. Because I learned so much from him. I do have his multi-tech system. We can pull out the sludge with this stuff. And listen, I learned a lot what I know, and I know a lot, but I learned a lot from Robert. And I'm going to tell you one more quick story before Robert goes. In 1999, I was on his bulletin board. It was the most powerful bulletin board on the internet until, of course, Ron came along with PWI. But both of them were the best. But Robert had them all. And I called up one day, Delco, and the secretary was busy with something. So Robert picked up the phone. I never forgot that, Robert. I bought the big guy surface machine from you guys. And today, you people don't realize that, we're all now front and center because of social networking. But back then, there was no Facebook. There was no, right. Instagram. But Robert picked up the phone. Robert, I never forgot that. It was impacted in my life.
Oh, so great.
Appreciate everything you do. And guys, go see whatever this man's going to go to, you got to be there because he's got the knowledge. And our industry and in life is education first.
Appreciate you for coming out, Robert.
Thanks,
sure.
Robert. Good show, Ron.
Wasn't that bad, man. I think that people need to understand, John, that there's a seriousness about this that I don't think people realize. I don't think that until it happens to them, it's like that is until it happens to them, they don't think there's any issues, But we're gonna be talking about it in Houston because in Houston, I mean they're still a little bit more serious about it than other jurisdictions.
Well, you said it, Ron. You said it tonight that you have a different administration coming in, and look, we all want the environment to be safe and healthy, but they can make restrictions on you, and you got to just go with. You have to look. I'm a protocol rules type guy, so I try to follow the rules almost all the time. I'm not perfect, so I tell people. The day I stopped, look, in my garage class, Ron, in Phoenix, you were there, you spoke. And Ron, speaking of my class again, the king of commercial sales. But I was learning from Eric Brian, who's also now I just made a moderator in my group. He was telling me stuff from the classroom, just when I was up in front of the class, Ron, you remember. So
nice.
The day you stop learning, people, the day you stop learning is the day you're going to go 6 foot under. Because don't go through life thinking you know it all. Learn from everybody else. Learn the day you're no longer here. I believe in that. And that's why I go to a lot of events. So, Ryan, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, John. Hang on 1 second.
Oh, you're doing so. All right, I'll talk a little bit longer. Guys, listen, we all know COVID-19 is out there. Me and Ron are big believers in giving people options. And we are gonna push through to get the Washington University by Marco done. We had about 95 people at Craig Harrison's event in Phoenix. There should have been 150 signed up for it. But look, just follow the rules. If they tell you to wear a mask, wear it. The planes are one of the safest places now because they sanitize before you ever get on there. You wipe everything down yourself. The filtration system, the ventilation's been upgraded in all the planes. It's when you go other places you got to watch out. So follow all the rules. You're going to be fine, and we are going to have, unless anything changes with the governor in Texas. Right down it. We're almost down by Mexico down there, and it's a beautiful, beautiful weather down there, and it's blocks from the water. Ron's staying at the Boardwalk Hotel. I'm staying at the Holiday Inn because I don't want to walk 10 feet to the place. 3 blocks, you're at the water. But we have the best people come to this thing. You got Jeremy Millen's going to be there. I think Craig Harrison's coming. You got Marco, him and his father, the aces on building stuff. My garage class, I always fill it up in a room. Who knows how much longer us guys are going to be doing this. But before I even cut that off, before I stop, Ron, and I'm working with Ron, I keep putting on his Vegas hat so you guys know. I have a different background than a lot of you guys. I have a sit down with New Jersey coming up next month at one of the hotels on the waterfront. I'm going to try to get them a deal I want to get. I've already dealt with Vegas in the past, and I want to get Vegas to do something for me too. And I push hard in the background, but I am very happy that Ron and I talked about this, Ron. Me and Ron made a deal. It's old school. Our deal is we had a handshake. We committed to each other for 2 years. But if Ron says, John, you know what? I want to go do something else, or I say, Ron, I want to do something else, it's done. We are working together because we're passionate. We believe in what we believe in. We know what each other's strengths are. And, I should say some people are upset with me going my way. I'm sure some people are upset with Ron going his way. We ended up meeting together in the middle. And I'm a true believer, so is Ron. When things work, you see Robert here. He's going to go to the Washington University. When things work the way they're supposed to work, everybody comes back around. And I'm going to take that to my grave because people in this industry, they got a bad rap sometimes, but there's a lot of smart people in this industry, and most of you guys are not stupid. And if something benefits you and it's a good thing, you're going to want to come knocking on the door, and our door is always going to be open. So
I just had an Amazon driver pounding on the door, making the dog go nuts.
I heard that.
Wouldn't stop pounding on the door. I'm on the ring telling him, hey, pounding on my door.
Yeah. Well, some areas they shoot and ask questions later. So
I know.
What are you giving away, Rob?
I can't give it away.
We're out of time?
No, it's not about out of time. I can't give it away. We got 2 minutes. I can't see the people who shared the thing when I'm on the on live. So I don't even know who shared it because I can't see who shared it. I tried to look. I got 18 likes. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this really easy here at the end. If you guys still share this out and you like this, I guess there's going to be a ton of them. I'll wake up tomorrow morning and guess what? I'm not going to give 1 away. I'm going to give 2 away. 2 of them away tomorrow morning. Okay, guys? Along with each of them is going to get a shirt.
Show the back of the shirt.
You're going to get a closer. You're going to get a closer shirt right there, guys. We want to thank all those guys that are on there, all those guys that made these shirts possible, along with Sub Effects. And then, guys, you're going to get a closer hat with Agua Fleet Solutions and the F9 on it. So not only are you going to get, I'm going to give 1 cookbook away. I'm going to give 2 cookbooks away if you guys share this thing out. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do right now. At 1902, anybody before 1902 will win 1 as a chance to win 1. Anybody after 1902, I will give the other one away. But should somebody before 1902 win the second one too, that's better.
It's 1902 the time?
1902 is the time right now. We're at 1902 is the time.
You are 2102 here.
Yep. 2102, 1902. Anybody after that, one will win that one, and I'll draw the other one. It could be anyone from 1 minute to the end of the video can win the second one. So we'll give the guys that were on watching the show a definite advantage as far as the guys that are out there. So guys, like the feed, share the feed. You guys, everybody that's going to be in the drawing. I'm going to take all the likes on the second drawing, all the shares on the first drawing, and we'll see what happens, guys. Yes, we will give it away to Canada as well. The Canadians can play. It'll cost me like $3,000 to send a $150
They'll get it in 3 months
to Canada, but we'll get it up there. Hey guys, I'm also going to have a ladder mat, Mike, in ladder mat to give away. Robert knows
Doug Latimer
guy. These guys were they both go way back. I think his father, right? I think.
Doug Latimer, well, you know what? Robert wanted to name the PWA, Power Wash America, and it was the Latimer, Doug Latimer's father. No, Doug Latimer, I think it was. Doug Latimer was the first board of directors, and Doug Latimer, I think, Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, they were from Canada.
Yeah.
What about Canada? So it became the PWNA.
We got some history going on here at this show, man. Houston's you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this, man. We're going to have stars on the ground when these guys come in. We're going to have a red carpet. We're going to have some ropes on the side. There's going to be a lot of veterans that are coming to this show, as well as a lot of new stars as well, guys. Guys, appreciate you all for coming out. You got anything to close this thing up, Jonathan? February 9th, 10th, and 11th, free show, Washmart University, John Torbane's garage cleaning class on the 11th. Don't forget about North Carolina on January 23rd, guys. It's in Raleigh. Details will be posted. We're also going to have first 10 days in Georgia. There's another event in March that's already forming. We'll have details on it as well, guys. What else, John?
Well, Ron pretty much said it all. I'm going to reiterate one more thing. I am sitting down with Atlantic City in New Jersey, and I usually get the deals I can get. I'm good at certain things. Ron's going to give me a little guidance in there, who to deal with. And that's probably going to happen, people. That me and Ron and I are going to pull off that Jersey event. I really want that. I want both of those casinos back and forth. We're going to try. We're going to try to get some celebs involved in this thing. Ron's showing that shirt, the Pressure Washing Institute.
I want to remind you guys something here. I want to remind you guys right here. That Washmart logo right there, man. Washmart is giving a hot water unit away.
Right.
I have no idea what it's valued, but they're going to be giving a hot water unit away.
They build the best machinery. I'm telling you right now.
And Marco he wanted me to remind everybody tonight, it's on. There is a hot water giveaway now for Houston. Wow. And we will start promoting it each and every day. Thanks a lot, Marco and Fred. Fred's Marco's father. Also another guy needs a star on the Walk of Fame. I mean, the guy he's been around for a long, long time, building great equipment, man. It's amazing stuff, guys. Hey, John, we just reached that hour and 3 minutes. We're
out of here. We're out of here.
Again, adios, brother.